It is a very special occasion today because we are presenting a real-world story of KPN, one of the largest telecom operators in Europe, with a fascinating story of how they have transformed their reports from static PowerPoint reports into a highly interactive Power BI solution. It's going to be fascinating today, and I'm so happy that we have the two people that have been instrumental in leading this change with us today. They will not only talk about it, but they'll actually present their solution. They'll hand out a couple of tips and tricks. So the agenda for today, the guys will present their beautiful solution. They will show the dashboards. We will talk about key success factors in a transformation like that. And of course, we'll also share the resources, download links. Plus, both guys will stay here for a live Q&A. So make sure you stay up until the end. You will have the opportunity to ask questions to the guys that have made all this possible. So, all right, Peter, Jan, Wilco, would you please present yourselves and introduce yourselves?
Yes,
right,
cool, Andre.
You're live.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Peter Jan de Vries, and I'm the product owner of the managed dashboarding team. And we are responsible for building all the dashboards for the board of management, but also for one level below the board of management, for instance, for the consumer market. And my role here is that I am bridging the needs of the business stakeholder and also for the needs that the developers in our team have to work out in a perfect solution. So that is what I do. And now, Wilco, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I am Wilco Naxa, FP&A controller working for KPN for 5 years now. I started as a controller for mobile, but the last 2 years my role shifted more, being responsible for the development of the managed dashboards of the whole team. So I collect the requirements, wishes from my colleague FP&A controllers, business navigators, discuss them with Peter Jan, and together we develop reports and dashboards for that. I really love this role. It gives me a lot of energy. So a bit about KPN indeed. So if you look at the slide, it stands out that KPN wants to contribute to a better society. Sustainability, inclusiveness, innovation, these are all embedded in the strategy, the organization, and all the things KPN does. I'm proud to be working for KPN. Peter Jan, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I would like to especially mention the innovation part here, because what you see is that we won actually a prize with the digital transformation concept that we will show you in a minute, which is the IMA Corporate Recognition Awards, which we won in 2018. So yeah, we are really proud of that as well.
Excellent. That's the Institute for Management Accounting, right? If I'm correct, or?
Yeah, you're completely right, Andre.
Okay. Wow. Congratulations, guys. That's great. So, Peter Jan, I mean, I'm so excited that you're going to share your story now of how you did all this. I saw your, how your board meetings now take place in front of all of those digital, touch screens and so on. But let me take you back to the situation before that. So, how did you actually start? What was your situation before you introduced, Power BI and this interactive system?
Yeah, I think I will tell a small story which will be recognizable for a lot of people. So what we did is we have a lot of management letters within the company, all made throughout in PowerPoints, which many people are working on. So you can imagine that there are very much different sources used for those management letters. Yeah, and in the end, when you get all those management letters, maybe more than 100 a month, yeah, then you can imagine that not all the facts do have the same source. So you're not looking all at the same facts. So in the end, when you have a review, the most reviews take place on a large table where you are sitting, your business managers are sitting, and then discuss those management letters or insights. And yeah, you would like to have an interactive discussion on where you have to steer on. Yeah, but in the end, it ended up lots of times in, okay, I have this number 100, and another person says, no, this is not 100, this is 80. Yeah, and then you don't do the right thing, I think. So we thought we really have to change that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty standard. Multiple versions of the truth, manual updates, people having several copies of reports, not showing the same data, and so on. So you managed to transform into something else, but what was your first step then? Okay, so you identified the problem, you knew that what you want to do. How did you start?
Yeah, we had a kind of a dream. So what we really wanted to create is more personalized dashboards. And also the fact that we had those management letters, which were very static, we wanted to change that. So we wanted to have interactive discussions in a meeting room with beautiful dashboards. But yeah, how do you get there? We started with creating a value driver tree. So what does really drives the value of our company? So we looked into that with throughout the whole organization. So not only IT people, of course, but we had IT people, we had business managers, we had financials, and all those people came together and draw the value driver tree. So then you also know which drivers are driving the value of, and both the leading indicators as the lagging indicators, which are important. Yeah, and in the end, we tried to visualize that, and we came up to a solution which we showed in those digital business cockpits, which I will elaborate a little bit later on.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. Yeah, to start from top down, start actually with the business drivers, set a vision. You also did a proof of concept and so on. And yeah, you mentioned now the board. So after the whole process, you actually ended up with this digital boardroom with two large touch screens, with stand-up meetings, and in a almost like a bar-like setting, right? So which is kind of fascinating, and it's a huge change from before. So how do your board meetings take place now?
Yeah, so I like this picture very much. What you can imagine is that this is a fairly small meeting room where you indeed have this bar table setting, and then yeah, you sit there with your board of management and maybe a little bit of other specialists, so with 8 to maybe 10 people, and you're just standing at the bar tables, and then yeah, you're looking at those touch screens. And what you see here is that you can step easily in front of the screen and start a small discussion about the fact that you want to elaborate on. So yeah, you have a sort of weatherman who is talking you through the story, and then other people can have a discussion on that. And of course, what you see here, these are the facts which are the truth. So not all the people are looking at all at different documents. No, you are looking at those touch screens and have a discussion there, and that is what really changed. So not only there the dashboards were important, but also the setting.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one version of the truth. This is live data, right? So you're talking in front of, presenting live data, and getting the insights right at the time of the meeting, visual storytelling, and so on. So it's great, and it's also a huge change. I mean, it's a massive change from this manual system, management letters and all of those papers, to something like this. Did you have any challenges with managing this change?
Yeah, we had some challenges there. At first, yeah, you start with building that dashboard, and that dashboard does give you a lot of nice insights. But yeah, if you think you are done when you have built that dashboard, that's totally wrong, because there is also a very big cultural aspect here. So if you brought the dashboard, you also need that there is adoption on that, and that people really commit to the idea and to the vision. And therefore, what was very important, you see here the CFO of KPN from a few years ago, but from 2 years ago, but the CFO was actually the sponsor of this whole project. So that is extremely important, that you have sponsorship on board of management level. And beside that, you need a lot of ambassadors throughout your whole organization, so that each segment is in and are willing to do to change into another setting, so into this dashboard setting. And especially when the board of management is changing, yeah, then all the other departments, yeah, will go on with that. So I think that is very important. And beside that, what you just mentioned, Andre, the proof of concept approach, I think that is also very important. So if there is there is attendance from the board of management, and you will wait for a few months. Yeah, I don't think that will work. So you have to build a small product there in a proof of concept style and present that and work in an iterative way further.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's also my experience. You mentioned ambassadors. I guess Wilco is one of your key ambassadors, right? Is that
Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, PTN, you always forgot about me. Shame on you. Yeah, I'm an ambassador, or like maybe Microsoft likes to call them in the Power BI adoption framework, a Power BI champion. So what is a Power BI champion? That's somebody who is a subject matter expert. So he's an expert on for example, controlling, like I'm an FP&A controller. And next to that, he's really into the Power BI and Excel and all that kind of stuff. And often in his free time, he looks at all webinars and YouTube and LinkedIn and all that stuff. And he throws stuff at PTN like I do. Hey, I've seen this, I've seen that. What do you feel about that? Is that great? Can KPN use that? And so that's one part of the ambassador role, I guess. And the other part is that I really promote, of course, the solution. So I somehow evangelize the solutions. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So merging your domain knowledge, you're a controller, your business knowledge about the business processes and so on with technology, knowing the Power BI technical stuff and so on, and on top of that, being an evangelist, communicating about this with other stakeholders, I guess, and so on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So before we switch to your solution, maybe the last question here, if you could distill this into like 3 takeaways, what would be your 3 top most important success factors in making this transformation successful?
Yeah, so there are indeed 3 things, which the first one is extremely important, which is the business understanding. I just told you about the value, what you get out of the dashboard. It is very important that you keep asking the why question on and on again, because if you are having a conversation with your business manager or your business stakeholder, they often try to give you a solution which you have to build, but we are the guys who know what to build if there is a certain problem, and we find a solution for that. So do ask that why question. That is 1. 2, keep it simple and keep it standardized. So if, for instance, you have a beautiful dashboard which is regarding the profit and loss, then if you do that on corporate level, that would also be a good solution for other levels. So for instance, for your consumer market level. So try to standardize and keep the same layout for all different segments. And 3, try to integrate your comments in your dashboard, because your dashboard gives you a lot of insights, a lot of visualizations where you can get a lot of insights from. But then when you add comments there, which are not covered in the visualizations, then you really add value there. So try those 3 things. I think those are the 3 main takeaways, Andre.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing this. Okay, now I think our audience is quite eager to actually seeing your solution. So you agreed to present it live. So Peter Jan, could you share your screen now and give us a short tour?
Sure. Okay, I will guide you quickly through this dashboard, because what you see here is a certain dashboard of department 1, what you see here. And the first thing you have to think about is what kind of users are using this dashboard. That's also one of the first questions you have to ask when somebody is giving you or asking you for a certain solution with a problem. So imagine that we are in this business cockpit, and that we are having a debate on the facts in this business cockpit on the touch screens, and that you are seeing this dashboard. First of all, we are looking here at the contribution margin. So you can choose a financial category here, but at the left, you actually see a lot of green. Not only at the left, at the whole dashboard, you see a lot of green. So you could say there's something going well here. So at first, you see here the actuals, and you see here the year plan. So we are doing quite good against the year plan here, which is, of course, a good signal. Beside that, we can also have a look at the prior year. So we are doing even better there. So that is our first signal here. And then we are going to deep dive at the tables and at the trend. So maybe what is interesting here are the two red things, so the propositions and the products. So what you see here is this proposition 2.2, where I will click on, because I'm of course curious what happened here. I see the $500,000 delta on the year plan here, and also the delta variance of 2%, minus 2%. And I actually clicked on here, and now you see a lot of red here, because now we see a deep dive on this proposition 2.2 in a certain product. So you see that we have some troubles here on the year plan, or the actual of the current month against the year plan, with a lot of red here. But then what you can do, of course, here is you see also here a little delta in the trend, which is that same $500,000 which I explained, is that we can have a deep dive here on the product. So on the product one, I will click on it here. So I'm now looking at this proposition 2.2 for product one, and I'm looking here at the trend analysis, and we see actually a small bump here. So you could be a little bit of curious what happened here, because we went very good in the first months, but now we have some problems. So it would be very good to further investigate that, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you further investigate that? You do some drill down, I guess, or?
Yeah, so I will have that same selection here. So what we of course can do here is we have those small arrows here, and we see that minus $500,000 here, Andre. And so what we can do is that we can open here the product one, and I have to click here the 2.2, of course, and the product one. So here we see some differentiated products. So you see that you have some higher problems in the sub products here. So yeah, you can definitely do a huge analysis in this first pager, which I'm showing you now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. I mean, that sounds like actionable reporting to me, right? But I also see that you've got a lot of additional options here, right? So you have some slicers, so people can gain additional insight, compare different scenarios, set different reference point, even change the KPI. I think it looks like that, right? Could you explain how this works?
Yeah, so what we can do here is that we have a lot of references here, and I think for most people who work at a corporate organization, they know that it's not only the actual and the year plan or a budget that you're looking at. Often there are also introduced something like outlooks and rolling forecasts. So we all have those kind of versions here. And what we can do here is, in the trend here, we see the actuals of the last months, and you see here the year plan. And in the blue line, you see some kind of margin against our revenue. But what we can do is we can switch here to another reference. So what I click here on the Outlook, and we look now again at the whole department one contribution margin facts. And what you see here is that we now changed here not only to the year plan, but you see here actually the Outlook. So it's here from June to December against our year plan. So now we have some more information about the trend in the future for this department one.
Excellent, right? And also in the financial category, I guess you can observe a different KPI. So the whole page is like dynamic, I would say, right? So if you change if you change the KPI, it'll change in all the visuals at once and so on, right?
Yeah, you're correct. So it's all dynamic. So I just showed you the contribution margin. Now, of course, the revenue is part of your contribution margin. So if you want to have a deep dive on another financial category or KPI, then you can switch to the service revenue here or to another financial category and do your deep dive there. And I will not go in detail on that, but we have some other pages here, such as the financial category. And that's completely in the same layout as you see here. And you don't have then the product in the table here, but we switch here to the financial category, and then we have the product in the filter. So that's also one example that we keep things very simple, but very interactive, and you are getting real insights out of it.
Yeah. And I also see some interesting details here. So first of all, at the top there, You have this sort of a breadcrumb navigation, so which actually shows the user what is selected, right? Right in the title area, right? And also you have shown me, so with all of those slicers and so on, there are lots of possible combinations. So you're using a nice trick for a user to actually set multiple filters with one click. So you have some buttons for that. Could you show this one?
Yeah, sure. So maybe to stick to the breadcrumb first, I will explain that. So you see here the department 1. You know, we of course have also a department 2 and a department 10 maybe, and you see here the financial category which we selected here. I just showed you the case that we can choose here the proposition and that we can choose a product here. And you will see that that is shown up here in the breadcrumb as well. So that was one of the huge user needs that we heard, is that, okay, I'm looking at a certain visual, but what am I looking at? So that is what the breadcrumb does. When I go back to your question to those buttons, yeah, that's indeed a real trick that we use here. So we are looking at the Outlook here, but often people in the organization, especially the board of management, would like to know what your full year fact is, or your full quarter fact is. So what we can actually do here is you can click here on the full year button, and we are looking here at the Outlook. And beside that, when we click on here, you see these filters now change to other settings, but that was because of I clicked here on the full year. You now see that we are looking at year to date, and basically here at December, you don't see it here, but you see it here at the left in the breadcrumb. And actually, now in the tables, you're looking at the full year facts, and you also see that in the trend below.
Excellent. I love this idea. I mean, many times with all of those filters, you know, users need to set for each action, they need to set like 4 filters, change year to date and the period and so on. And you just have this quick button. So it's like a quick view on just one click. It's like I think that's great user experience. It's a great idea. Now with this, I have noticed that actually your labels in all of the visuals, they're always consistent with the choice. Even if you change like the measure in you know, the visuals reflect the true label, which again is very important for the end users. But how did you do that? That's very, very hard in Power BI.
Yeah. So indeed, what you say is, well, in first we had something like reference from and reference to here in the tables, and all our users kept asking us, okay, I do not know where I'm looking at. I have a lot of choices here, which I like, but I do not know where I'm looking at, or my audience does not know where I'm looking at. So we thought, okay, how could we change this? So basically, what we did here is that we multiplied all the pages here. So if we click to another reference, for instance, here back to the actual, you see indeed the label here in the table changing from the OL to the AC. So we are looking again at the actual here in the table. And the trick here is that we use one template, and that template we used to make all changes in, but we also created some kind of generator there, and we filled it with metadata. So you can imagine maybe for on corporate level, you have this same page needed, but also on consumer market level or for those labels. And what we do is we fill it all with metadata, and then we click, let's say, on the generate button, and all those pages are generated. So basically we are looking here at 4 pages which are visualized, but when I'm switching to the Outlook, I switch really to a different page, which is hidden here. So that is the trick that we use, and there is indeed a lot of work in it to make this solution.
Wow. So you're telling me that you actually developed your own internal tool that generates Power BI reports from templates, right? So for example, does this mean that you, I don't know, you change something in a page, then you basically just you change it in this template, press a button in your tool, and the whole report will be generated with all the pages?
That's basically correct. So there are 2 big advantages of that. So you see it here for the department 1, but we also have it, of course, for the department 2 and 3, so we can manage it in that way. But it also gives more reliability, because you can imagine that if you have let's say 10 or 15 dashboards, when you have to maintain that is much more difficult than you have to maintain one or two templates. And beside that, the maintenance is also very important, because we have some FTE in our team, but when we would do this all manually, then we would have multiplied our team maybe with 10 or 20 extra FTE, which of course is not very efficient.
Absolutely, that's a great point. That's a great point. I mean, many times it's much easier actually to create dashboards, especially of course if you're using Zebra BI. But then the hard part becomes the maintenance, right? Because you only create the report once, but then you maintain it, you know, for months and for years to come. And you also want to scale it up, right? I mean, this is a huge company. You need to cover lots of departments with lots of reports and so on. So it makes perfect sense to me.
All right.
Yeah,
you're right. So it's really cool here that of course when you are in the department working, that your CEO is working with exactly the same report as someone which is 3 levels below that. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see the advantages. So it's easier for you to maintain it, change it, roll it out, scale it up, but it's also easier for the end user, because they just get to get used to certain, you know, report layouts and so on. You're not inventing, you know, each page each time, and it's complicated, right? Because then it's not just complicated for you, it's also complicated for the end user. So I fully agree with that. Peter Jan, while looking at that, when I first saw this page, I thought this chart looks really big, very wide. But then I learned the reason why. Maybe you should share this with the audience, because this chart actually also has completely dynamic time periods, not only so you can switch between different time periods, and even the length of the time series and so.
Yeah, you're right. So indeed, it is fairly a high amount of space in this report, and indeed that's because we can broaden the years here. So you see actually here the filter of prior year and next year, and what we do here is now we are looking at 2021. But when we click, for instance, here on next year, but I can also click here on prior year, you will see that a lot more bars will be shown here. So you have now 24 bars with 2 years filled with data, filled with the actual and the outlook also for 2022. And that is where we did that trick. And even we can switch to other views here, because also when there is a quarterly close, of course, the management is interested in a quarterly view. So now we switch to that quarterly view, where we can also easily add the prior year selection. So when I switch here to prior year, you have here 12 different bars filled with data from 2020 to 2021.
Excellent. So it's sort of slightly one size fits all, but it's very user friendly. Because usually this goes one, you know, it contradicts. But now with all the choices that you have, it looks really user friendly as well. So great. And also you mentioned the tables. So one of the things here, that the tables, like the first table with the segment propositions, you can switch it to, now you're looking at the variance, right? So I see in all of your reports, basically you're exposing the variance. I guess this is one of the most important things in performance management. You want to see whether, you know, it's good or bad, and how good, how bad, right? But people can also change the table, the view of the table, to get to the data behind it, and then they can actually see something more, not just that, right? So it's a nice feature here.
Yeah, so indeed we can switch here the view, which is very nice, because now we are looking to the outlook against our year plan with our variance delta, but also the absolute delta. But when we switch to the other table here, we added also the prior year here. So then if you want to have some more information, you can have on one line, on one proposition, all the information that you need when you compare with both year plan as prior year, and you can also see the variances here for the prior year delta.
Yeah, I like it. This is one of the out of the box actually features of the Zebra BI visuals. but you've put it to a really good use. So you're actually showing more things when people flip to the table view, and you keep it clean and short and focus on the variance when they first see it, right? So they first understand what's going on, what's important, and then dive into details.
Yeah, I also like the little gray out. You see the gray here in the back, and here you see the white, and that is also some focus. Yeah, I also like that, because then you have it separated, and it gives you a better visualization.
Yeah, a little bit of structure and so on. Also, talking about the structure, I have noticed that you have some tooltips there, and you also have like a special philosophy, or even even a rule or a standard that you abide to in your company. I think, Wilco, that's your area right there.
Yeah.
I love that philosophy. Could you explain it?
Yeah, of course, Andre. I will gladly. So, if you look at the tables, you always have like two views. You have the view top down, like it's a structure, a category, yeah, so down in proposition of products, or you have a breakdown in time, which is always from the left to the right. So time flows from left to the right, and structure goes top bottom. When you're looking at the proposition, for example, you don't see how it evolves in time. So you can, for example, click and go to a different report, but for that, there are tooltips. So when you hover over the different propositions or product, it doesn't matter, then you can see, okay, how is the evolution over time? As you don't need to go to a different page, it's there already. And what I really like, for example, is when you go to the month April, for example, PTO, and then you can see, okay, how is the structure breakdown in the products compared to, the report is December, and then here it's May, and is it the same products which give the problems, or are different products? And then you can go to March, and then you can go to February, so you don't need to switch between pages. You can stay on the same page. You can very quickly see how does it evolve.
You can compare them, right? Because the one that was selected stays there, and this one is just drawn next to it, and you can visually compare and see what's the change from one month to another. I love this idea, and also I love the idea of this standardization. So whenever you have a breakdown, a structure breakdown, you're showing the trend, and whenever you have a trend, you show a breakdown. Makes perfect sense. It's kind of a consistency, right? Brings consistency into your reports, I guess.
And what's great is that these tooltips are also in part of the generator, so they are always the same throughout all the reports. So
of course, they also
generate. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. So again, it reduces the number of the templates for the tooltips.
Yeah.
All right. You just press the button and they're there. Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Yeah. Well, that's great. So maybe the last thing here that I've noticed is this very interesting placeholder on the right side called the comments. So you've mentioned that the comments can really add huge value to dashboards and reports, and many times they are just completely skipped. But they can add additional information that is just not in your data, not even in Power BI, because it can be anything. It can be knowledge from somebody else. So what are your plans? How do you plan to include comments and make them dynamic in the dashboard?
Yeah, so you see here now that separated comment box. So you can imagine that people have now to fill it in and in the system, and then it comes here, it pops up at the right, but there is no connection with your visuals at the left. And therefore we created another solution. I will skip to another page because we are actually working on this right now. And especially the lower part here, where you see the comments here at the right, and it's actually in the same visual as the trend is here. So what you see here at the right is that you see the comments here and you see the numbers, and those are connected to the numbers you see here in the trend. So what you can see here is a comment, and that same comment here is shown in the tooltip. So I really love this because then you have the connection between the comments at the right, and you see where it actually happens in the visualization.
Great. Yeah, this is what's called the linked comments, and these are the comment markers, right? And it's all in the same visual. Okay, great. Well, that's Zero BI version 5.0, I guess, right? Because we just added this functionality. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for this tour. Of course, you have a lot of reports in your company. This is just one example, and as you've mentioned, it's you have different versions of that for different departments, different areas, and so on. But then you also mentioned your value drivers, your KPIs, which is your starting point. It's the most important thing, right? You also have a special report or a dashboard actually for that. So I think, Wilco, that's your area, right? Something you've prepared. Can you also share that one?
That's the landing page. So one of the first reports we made was the report you just saw. It's a financial page, and every financial question you need, you can get from that. But this report has been made for the product/proposition level. So those guys also have reviews, of course, and have to discuss the numbers. And they use for their reports mostly two pages. One is a page with key messages, which most of the time is some kind of metrics, with the topics like orders, sales, deliveries, and then what has been done, action plans, etc. So a lot of text. And they have a KPI page like this one. So where you have on the left side the 4 top KPIs. So top KPI 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 2 extra groups. So they are small multiples. So in this group, then you can also have 2 times 8 extra KPIs. So so this is a completely different solution than the first solution. This is with KPI cards. We used these kinds of KPI cards because this KPI card was the only one which was where we were able to select the visual. So when I select a line, then you can see, okay, I've selected it, and a button pops up. So the original Microsoft KPI didn't have that possibility. So that's why we choose this one. All right, that's fine. We have some difficulties which we had to overcome. Like there are different units in the description. So if you look here, you have millions, and you have in euros, and then you have numbers in thousands, and so that was an extra thing we had to overcome with programming. Another thing we had to overcome is that you cannot add up numbers always. So financial numbers you can always add up. So the revenue of 5 products total is the total, but if you cannot add up an average or a percentage, you cannot. So they're a little bit different and difficult with measures, but that's all worked out. But the great thing from this report is that there are extra features if compared to the printed version, because there was a printed version, of course. So when I want to know more about why this KPI is doing 600K lower, I select a line, then here a button pops up.
All right.
And I click that, and I go, and then I go to the next page.
So it's a drill through for that particular KPI. So for all the KPIs that you've collected on this page, you can the user can then go into details with one click with this drill through. So that's the reason why you chose that card, right? So
that's the reason why there is at the moment not an other card, but I guess maybe we can talk about it later.
Maybe something better is coming.
But then you go to the next part of the report, and then you see some recognizable stuff. So the same waterfalls, the same table with the structure breakdown, and the connection over time, and the buttons on top. So everything is recognizable. So when you're working with the financial landing page, this KPI card, it works the same. Only the first page, the main page, is different. And what is great, PDM managed to make a template of this as well. So we have like 20 of these product proposition combinations, and those they were delivered, the metadata to the team of PTN, and then ploop, the reports get made. and the maintenance is it's crazy. So I really like that. Yeah. What can I say more about this? Oh yeah. So the tooltips work also here, the same tooltips as in the other one. We have an extra drill down on this. So when I, for example, this 2.1 million, when I click on it, then two buttons here below also pops up. And that's a bit more for the analyst. So I don't think the manager wants to go that deep, but the analyst can. Is something happening yet? Not. Wait a second. There. So then you see these buttons, they pop up, and then analyst can get to the next page of the report.
Okay, so it's another drill through to even more details.
Yeah, to even more details.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. And this will show you now some time trends and stuff. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a bit slow here. Maybe then because of the presentation. So and then you have the breakdown. It's not completely IBCS compliant. Sorry for this. So we have the time in this report. It's also a request from the users. So you have months top bottom, but then you have the reference here in the columns.
All right.
And Wilco, do I also have the trend here then, just as in the other?
Yeah. Sorry.
Pages.
Yeah. So also. Yeah. The trend is also there.
Okay,
oh man.
You have both options, right? I see you have two buttons. So it's okay. Yeah, so you can see it as a trend. Okay.
The funny thing is that the trend is the tooltip of the trend. So it's different when you hover over months, when you hover over quarters, or when you hover over. So that's also nice.
Thank you so much also for presenting this. I mean, the guys, thanks for sharing all of your solutions. I think we've learned quite a lot. Maybe can you tell me what are next steps for you? I mean, do you have some plans now beyond this? You did mention a couple of things like commenting and so on. So
yeah, so for the report you just saw, the KPI cards. So we had to make use of the KPI card that was available. But we really would like a KPI card of you, of course, Andre.
Okay.
IBCS compliant.
We're working on it, so yeah, we'll have a card with proper visualizations and multi-cards.
That's really cool.
Yeah, when that will become available, we will throw out the other KPI card and put yours in. that's one for sure. What Piet-Jan is also doing at the moment, he's making more and more templates, of course. So you now saw a financial landing page, but we also are making templates for FTEs and for like free cash flow and capex and all that kind of stuff. So when there is a template, we can multiply, and that is great. Another the income statement. You showed in your last, I believe, 4.6 or something. You have an income statement, and you can add in formula. There's a formula editor, so you can add some nice measures like contribution margin percentage and calculation too. So we are working on that also. And Piet-Jan, maybe you have something to add?
Yeah, sure. So that is the Microsoft Teams integration. So that's a totally different topic, but I think that is very important as well, where we're working on, because we really would like to have those dashboards into the minds of people, that when they start working with Microsoft Teams, that they can just get into their own personalized portal and their own dashboard. So yeah, we really would like to switch to that kind of approach, and we think that will change the way of working totally.
Okay, excellent. Thank you guys so much for sharing all this. So let me now just wrap this up with a couple of key takeaways. So yeah, well, this is what I have learned from your session. Hopefully I got it right. So correct me if I'm wrong. So you said start with business understanding, identify key business drivers. Actually, you mentioned the value driver tree. Then set a vision and try to visualize it with a really quick proof of concept, like a couple of weeks. I think you said 2 weeks for your first one. Then find business sponsors and ambassadors in your company that will just help you, back you up, help you spread the word and push the project forward. And then when you do the implementation, absolutely use some kind of a modular approach, so you can reuse parts of the reporting system, make it standardized as much as possible, because it will help you scale up your reports and maintain them, and it will also help the end users to understand the whole system, how it works, and so on. In other words, keep it simple, use templates if possible. Then you've mentioned the dynamic comments as a very important thing to add value to existing data and visuals and tables that everybody has, and visualize the variances, right? Because this is, I mean, the number one thing in every performance management system, you know, to see exactly where the business stands compared to plan, outlook, forecast, and all the other scenarios that you have. So I hope I got it right. Do you have some quick comments?
Yeah, I would like to point out that fourth point. So when you look at modular or standardized, I really think that it goes hand in hand. I'm not sure whether that's a really English word, but in Dutch, all the Dutch people know what I mean. Normally, business managers love to standardize, and I think that can be good approach, but I think that also is a signal maybe for operational people that they are disturbed in their creativity. So I think that modular is best of both worlds. So really do a modular approach. You can keep it sort of standardized, but you have also the creativity with the building blocks that you can build whatever you want.
Yep, like Lego, right? So
yeah, Lego. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much. So please stay online for the Q&A. I'm sure we have questions where our business analyst Mark will help me actually. So while Mark is preparing the questions, let me just show the resources for everybody who is listening. So if you go to zebra.bi website, you will find the resources link right on top of our website. We keep all the recordings there, so you can just take a look at all of the other recordings with stories like this, with deep dive topics for Power BI, also for Excel, reporting, commenting, P&Ls, all this stuff, and the PBIX files. So we have demo PBIX files that are completely anonymized. So these are the resources. If you like the visuals, import them from Microsoft App Source. They're there, so just open your Power BI and import them today. The visuals are certified and so on. But now let's go for the questions. Mark is our business.
Hello. Yeah, so we have some questions prepared. Let's start with a humorous one. So to KPN, how did you convince business users to stop using pie charts?
Pie charts? I don't know, but I didn't see many pie charts before, so I don't think we have the pie chart problem. But I know the problem, and everybody says pies are for eating, not for charting. So luckily we didn't have the problem. Yeah.
That's a good one. Somebody spotted that there were no pie charts in the reports that you were showing.
No, not happening. We have
no problem.
we only have two charts. So we have the graphs and the table from Zebra BI. That's almost only two we use, and only the KPI chart, which you saw in the second solution, is the only other one. So we always keep the same visual so people get used to it. So no fancy stuff.
Okay,
some more questions, Mark.
Yeah, yes, of course. With a lot of users, how do you scale these dashboards, and approximately how many users currently use these reports?
Yeah. So it is about I think 200 unique users which use this dashboard this year. So the performance is really important here. So have also a very good back end, which is very important. We have a live connection with data warehouse here. That works perfectly fine. And beside that, I must say here as well that the Zebra BI visuals do help us as well, because they are extremely fast, and that is really a nice way to also use in the business reviews, because it has to work very fast. The business managers ask to be it as fast as a PowerPoint, because they were used to use that PowerPoint, and that is of course very fast, but they do not know what is all behind those dashboards. But make it as fast as you can, and the tips that I gave are, I think, worthwhile.
Yes, because there was also a question regarding the speed of the demo data, but this shouldn't be taken as the live connection with all the resources, right? Then there was a question, how are you distributing those reports to your colleagues? Are you using Power BI report server or powerbi.com?
Yeah, we do use the report server at this moment, and we are waiting to use it also on powerbi.com, because a lot of features that I just spoke of, that what we want to use in the future, the Microsoft Teams integration, yeah, we will need the cloud functionality there. So we are currently in the middle of that situation, but the on-premise version does work perfectly fine at this moment.
A lot of people are really impressed. Even we are impressed on how you came up with such a level of detail. But there was a question: can you elaborate on the time frame in which you developed all of this? Like talking in months, quarters? Was it longer?
Well, I can say that we started with this like 15 months ago or something. Yeah, when we purchased the Power BI visuals. And the funny thing is that the first report is actually based almost 100% on the webinar you gave, Andre, the top 10 most effective Power BI dashboard tips and tricks 2020, which show a sales dashboard with 2 waterfalls, a table, and a chart. And I guess you recognized a lot of it. So we had a lot of help for that. So over a year, something over a year. But we are not only working on this, of course. So it's not like we worked a year on this. So we are now a year further. That's true, but we do other things also, of course. Maybe
maybe a cool fact. Maybe a cool fact here is that we keep speeding up here because we use those templates. So we started with the board of management and then one level below that. So maybe it was a lot of work, but then when we created that generator, yeah, then the work is mainly in that generator what we have to put in. But when we want to scale it up for other segments as well, we can reuse the template. So that's a very fast solution.
Yeah. The funny thing is we have every 2 weeks a sprint review where Peter Jan and his team shows what they have done the last 2 weeks. And every time I think something, man, how can you do this in 2 weeks? Yeah, it's
Thanks
so
for the compliment.
They're a really good team, and I cannot say it enough. So great job, guys.
Yeah. Yes. Excellent. Got a lot of questions coming in right now, but Peter Jan, you mentioned the value drivers at the start that are quite vital to have. How did you get those on the table and to the forefront of the discussion, so to speak?
Yeah, that was really also because of that sponsorship and the CFO, which made this important. So we had a project team here. We had also some other parties helping us in implementing this. So do not always think that you all have all knowledge inside your own company. And then we were thinking about that value drivers, which were important. So there, all kinds of people throughout the organization came together and thought about that value driver tree. So that was quite easy and a good starting point for us to look what did we have at that moment as a modeled data. As model data, and then we just started with building those dashboards. So that's very important. That sponsorship, which I mentioned.
Okay, and now a bit of a technical question. Are you using one calendar table for the entire model?
I'm looking at Wilco.
I guess I'm not a programmer within the team of Peter Jan. I do program my own reports, but I stopped doing that because the team of Peter Jan can do that much better. So I'm just thinking what I want and then I give it to Peter Jan. But I'm convinced that there's only one date table. Yeah, there must be.
Yes. Okay, great. When KPN mentioned they have a template that is generated based on button clicks, is it really a single template page or is it using bookmarks or to reference certain pages and therefore have a lot of pages?
Yeah, we don't have the programmer here, which makes the template and generates it, but it's more than just a simple Excel file. So it's really complex. So making the templates itself is very hard. So not only 2-3 people can do it within KPN, the team of KPN. But when it's there, then it's very easy to add the metadata and to run them. So that's not hard.
We use C# for developing that tool. So maybe that also gives a clue for the more technical guys here in this webcast.
Okay.
So let's close it with a really nice last question now, Mark.
Oh, I feel the pressure.
Okay.
No pressure.
Maybe you can explain what you were using or before you switched to Power BI, so for reporting.
In the past, we had Cognos, a reporting system, and that made some reports, and we had a lot of Excels, and we all had that kind of stuff, and that was all filled with that same data warehouse where I'm talking about. But then, yeah, we switched to Power BI, where we could use the same data warehouse with a little bit of a different model, which we extended a little bit also. So there we switched to a Power BI report setting. So maybe Wilco, do you have something to add there as well?
Yeah, so when I started, the Cognos was just being shut down 5 years ago, and then we went to the next solution where you had a tabular model in Excel, and people can connect to PowerPoint with a tool called ThinkCell. So, but it was a bit, so those Excel files or those PowerPoint, they often hang, and there were troubles with it. So. And people can add their own data with ThinkCell, etc., etc. So we don't like that. So and then we moved on to Power BI. So it's now in the Power BI solution, and yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. So now you're sticking with Power BI. That's your tool now, right? So
yeah, for me it was from the start, but hey, I'm not the boss.
No, there are no signals that we will change to another tool in the near future. No.
Yeah. Well, the development goes really well. I mean, it's also new features are coming out and so on. And
small addition here is that sometimes we are talking with each other. Are we going to make a separate solution here because it is not in or either the Zebra BI visuals or the Power BI visuals? And almost always, I'm discussing that with Wilco in his role. Then we say, okay, we are not going to put a lot of effort in that because that will take a lot of time. And then in the end, yeah, maybe there will be a standardized solution either from Zebra BI or either from Power BI. So sometimes it's maybe better to take a guess and wait a little longer and then take that standard solution.
Yeah. Also happy to work with you guys like we did in the past. So share our plans and take the suggestions from you. So it's also helping us. So with that, I would really like to thank you so much once again that you were prepared to share your amazing work, what you have done. We appreciate it really very, very much. I thank the audience for staying with us. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channels. You can also find us on Twitter and LinkedIn. You can also reach out to Peter Jan de Vries and Wilco Nagzam. You can reach me on LinkedIn. And see you at the next webinar. I wish everybody a great summer. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.